Bang! Neeves Knives, I'm Jared, and today we have the new Karbon Smoke Show. What a great name, because this thing is an absolute smoke show, and it is a Ken Onion design. And if you've been watching the channel, you know that I recently featured a couple other Ken Onion designs. Well, the same design, a more budget-friendly version and the premium version from Karbon Knives as well. So you guys can check that video out if you're interested in it. This one is a new design with Karbon, and like I said, the name is the Smoke Show. I think that's a perfect name for this knife. I freaking love this thing. I think this thing is gorgeous. If you look, we have the copper carbon fiber, which I love the copper carbon fiber. Then we have a gold anodized clip, and I think this is just laser etched on. It's almost like a B with the black and yellow stripes. So I thought that this was zirconium and this was brass, but I can't see anything on their site saying that. So I think it's just like a DLC titanium, or maybe just a black anode titanium with titanium that's, you know, anodized a bronze or brass color, because it looks just like brass. It really does. But the weight doesn't reflect that it's zirconium or brass either. I know it's a small amount, so maybe it wouldn't mean anything, but with this backspacer and stuff. But so I believe it's just multi-layers of titanium with the copper foil carbon fiber. But it looks like brass at the very least. So that's cool. A nice little touch between the copper, the brass, the zirconium, and the titanium. Looks amazing. Then we have an M390, beautiful drop point blade. I love how the tip, rapidly drops right here, and it gets to a very well positioned tip for opening things up and utility cuts and so on. But yet you still have a little bit of belly. It's almost like it goes up and then over, like it goes up and then it's almost like it drops back down a little bit right there, like making it kind of like a claw. But that belly right there is going to be really good for cutting down on a flat surface. I can just look at these ergos and tell it's going to be good, because one, it's slightly contoured. Two, it's not super thick, but it's like a good thickness with a very, very good shape. So very ergonomic, very comfortable in the hand. Access to the lock bar, very generous. Well, not very generous. It's good. Shouldn't say very generous, but that's good. They knocked this back and they chamfered this edge, so you can come from the side, and it's very easy to get past the detent. And drip a little bit of KPL heavy there. If you guys want to get any of this, I'll link some down in the description. I recommend getting the heavy and the regular. To me, this is the best knife lubrication for any pocket knife. The detent ball, though, when you put that heavy on the detent, my goodness, does it change the way an action is on a knife. Yeah, this is very, very smooth, very easy to get past the detent. It's nice and early, as you can see, so you're pretty much always past it. The flipper tab has, not super sharp chimping, but it's sharp enough, and it's well positioned. You have this spot right here where you can just like kind of pull down, or you can kind of do a push button, or like an in-between push button. Both of them work very well. It's very snappy. Detent is good. Let's see if we can fail it. We can fail it, but it's not even broken in yet. So once that detent breaks in on the surface of the blade finish, it's going to be even snappier, and it's really snappy already. So very good action. Very, very good action. Now, the geometry it has a relatively thin blade. I love how slicey this is. It's almost a full flat, aside from the swedge, it might as well be a full flat. This is going to pass through materials extremely well. It's a good size knife, where it's a full size knife, but it's not too big. I think most people would really like this size knife. And I like how you see the lock bar right here. The lock bar insert is on the inside, so you don't see it right there. So all these lines, I kind of just work together. I'm loving this thing, and I think this thing is a good looking knife. Now, I know some people are going to not complain, but they're going to wish there was more than one deployment. It's very popular right now to have knives with multiple deployments. So to only have one deployment option, I'm fine with it. I do like regular flippers, and I think they are typically the best to hand to somebody if you're going to, you know, show somebody a knife that doesn't, you know, sit there and flick knives all day. But, you know, it is always cool to have another option. So it'd be cool if they had like a, I don't know, like a brass stud that you could clip on right here or something. I think that'd be cool. Like maybe one of those triangle ones. Even if there was like a chamfer right here to make it easier to get to. It doesn't need it though. And to me, this thing is so good looking. Shout out to Ken Onion for designing this. He's been, you know, a knife maker, knife designer for as long as I can remember. So seems like a pretty good guy, pretty good dude. A lot of people say great things about him, so I have nothing bad to say about him. Never met him, I don't think I met him at Blade Show, but anyways, one day, hopefully we'll get to meet. Let's talk about some negatives. So the first negative is the plunge grind and sharpening choil. It could be better. Like this is going to work. You're going to be able to get a couple sharpenings. This side, it looks like it's better than it is, but when you flip to this side, you can see that it actually does transition down and it damn near hits the edge. And you can see the edge bevel kind of widens up a little bit right there. So that's going to make it a little bit more difficult to hit the apex on right there in that corner. And then also if I lower back my edge angle to like 15 degrees per side, the bevel is going to be large, which will cut into the plunge grind. So I wish that just had a little bit more clearance for sharpening so that I have the ability to do that. It's not a deal breaker. It's still okay. And if you match their edge angle, you'll probably get, you know, one or a couple good sharpenings in before it widens up on you. The next thing is I wish this was, because this is, you know, it's not a cheap knife. I wish the finish was not blasted. I'm not a huge blasted blade fan. I don't mind it on the scales. You know, the scales are very nice. But as far as blades, I prefer a stonewash or a satin. You feel a lot better about it, especially when the price, you know, goes up on a knife. So I would prefer either a vertical or a satin that's a hand satin basically that's running this direction, or a satin running this direction. I'd love them both, or even just a really nice stone wash, maybe even like a mirrored stone wash, something like that. That'd be really cool. Next thing is, while the clip works very well, super smooth in and out of the pocket, plenty of spring. I actually like the functionality of the clip, but I wish it was just a little smidgen, a little tiny bit more room underneath it for thick jeans. Yes, they'll still fit in there, but it does get a little tight. It's fine, so not that big of a deal. You know, just and I mean like a tiny amount. Perfect centering, love that. Lockup is rock solid. No problems with failure from a light spine whack. So the only other negative I could say is the jimping on the spine could be a little bit sharper. It's, you know, it's almost there, but then again, are you really going to use this jimping? Probably not. But since it's there, I say if it's going to be there, at least make it sharp, right? It's okay though. It actually does have a little bit of catch, but you can obviously slide really quick back and forth without it stopping you. So I'd prefer it to be sharp enough to stop you. Now, I don't know. Maybe Ken Onion disagrees with me on that. M390 steel. I like M390. I think M390 is a good steel as long as it's heat treated well. My only issue with M390 20CV and 204P is that it is a finicky steel for heat treatment. So if it's a custom heat treatment, then it winds up turning out a lot better. When you start talking about mass production and producing, you know, a lot of them at one time, they have to be able to heat treat, you know, a lot of knives at once. And that's where M390 can be a little finicky. And that's why we see so many different results across the board. And in many cases, even at the same HRC. So now I have noticed a jump in quality for M390 and 20CV in the past year or two, as far as how well they're doing it. They were doing it a lot worse. A lot of companies, it was almost like no company was doing a decent job with it. Now you have a few companies that are actually doing a decent job with it. So I have no problem with it. Like I said, and if it's heat treated well, you know, I like it. Lots of corrosion resistance, so it's very corrosion resistant, and it holds a really, really good edge. Takes a really good edge at the right HRC. It really likes a mirror polished edge. If it's a lower HRC, I would say 60 and below, then typically you want want to put a medium grit edge on there because it just doesn't like a polish. It won't hold the bite, and it doesn't get a massive amount of bite. But when you have it 61, you know, even up to 62, 60.5, 61, 62, that's when the polishing, you can put a polished edge on it and it comes out really nice and with a lot of bite, and it can get very, very, very sharp. And considering this geometry and everything, this thing would cut very, very well. Like I said, all in all, I'm impressed. I like this thing quite a bit, and I love what Karbon, Reich, Katuo are doing. They run an awesome company. They got really, really cool knives, and it seems like they are, you know, constantly putting out just banger after banger. There you guys go. Work hard, stay tough. Until next time, peace.